Genghis Khan or Genghis Khan or Genghis Khan is a ubiquitously recognized name for both history and non-history geeks. During the time of his death, Genghis Khan controlled an area spanning across Mongolia and Central Asia. The parts which were adjoining this empire either paid tributes or were raided by the Mongols. After the death of Genghis Khan, his stepsons and then following the stepsons, the grandsons played an important role in developing several flourishing empires spanning across Eurasia. One such grandson was Kublai Khan, the founder of modern China. Hi, this is Gautam, and for this episode, we'll be looking at this book, Kublai Khan by John Mann. The book invests time in the aftermath of Genghis Khan's death. The consolidation of territories take a longer time than imagined, and the Mongols make sure to subdue parts of Persia and Turkey, including Ismailis, a sect of Shiite Islam. The broad divisions among the Mongols include 1. Southern Siberia, 2. Central Asia, 3. Persia, and 4. Mongolia. The book makes for interesting reading, not because it shuns itself with political conquest, but rather peppers with military and administrative challenges which Kublai Khan had to face. For example, when he started his campaign towards China, Kublai Khan had to face two different kingdoms. The northern China was under the control of Jin, and the southern China was under Song Empire. The author presents an insight into the geopolitical challenges which the Mongolian horde faced. For example, they were comfortably able to raid Hungary, which is in part of Central Europe, but they did face challenges in conquering Egypt. The major reason is to do with climate. As one travels towards the western side, starting from Central Asia, or should I say southwest, the greener pastures give way to scorching, arid desert landscape. Now, the point is, the Mongolian horde strength lies in its cavalry. So, for keeping a horse very healthy, or should I say horses healthy for one soldier, you need greener pastures. And as you cross over to Persia and then to Saudi Arabia and then towards Egypt, you do not find enough green pastures to support your horses. So, naturally, the strength of your military will decline. Now, let's take the conquest of Kublai Khan of both the northern and southern Chinese kingdoms. He doesn't do it at once. He makes sure he properly strategizes, conquers the north, and by using the resources of the north, he conquers the south. And it takes several decades. Actually, Kublai Khan's empire spanned more surface area than what is present in contemporary China. And moreover, two regions which are more problematic for China, where there are issues of insurgency, namely in the southwestern portion of China, Tibet, and the northeastern portion of China, Xinjiang province, were conquered during the reign of Emperor Kublai Khan. The administrative challenges of Kublai Khan was unique because he had to deal with several sensitive issues. Because he was from Mongolia and he was trying to capture and rule over Chinese. So he had to balance between two different ethnicity. You had the Mongols who had a different lifestyle, at the same time the newly adapted landscape of China. And he had to deal with several religious sects and several religions, starting from Taoism to Buddhism to Islam, including Christianity. Now, if you look at the developments in terms of culture and prosperity, the author argues that Kublai Khan did really try to improve the conditions. For example, the fabled city of Xanadu was constructed during his time, and it served as his own headquarters. It's not maintained in contemporary China because of the government's policy. But the point to be noted is Kublai Khan did relieve and did found a proper administration which enabled trade and prosperity to thrive. Kublai Khan's conquest did have its failures. He failed to appreciate the limits of navigation when a couple of campaigns failed to take Japan and the Indonesian island of Java. You would also be surprised at the level of attention paid by the author towards trebuchets. Famed for their capability to decimate forts, the efforts and challenges which go on into their construction was very interesting to read. If you're looking for a book to learn about the Mongol Empire or about medieval China and the growth or the outline for modern China, this is the books to go. So if you like the video, do like, comment and subscribe, and for the next video, I'll be joining you with the Kerala book list. That's it for now.